one grain amongst the storm.
Hey, welcome back to another Prince of Persia Retrospective. This time, we break down the 2008 reboot of the franchise. Not a successful reboot, mind you, but honestly, one of the most interesting Princess games. On one hand, it features some of the best platforming, world building, and characters. But on the other, it removes death entirely, focuses on single enemy combat that just keeps repeating, and feels like it's stretched just a bit too much. But let me explain why Prince of Persia 2008 might just be my favorite Prince of Persia game. Let's start with the story, and it feels like a big departure from all other Prince of Persia games. But personally, I love it. First, a nice reference to Sands of Time.
I'm not. I'm looking for...
Farah, I heard you yelling. You and your girlfriend should get out of here.
Girlfriend? Farah's not my girlfriend. She's my donkey.
But hey, why don't we have a donkey companion? Feel free to steal my ideas. Second, the vibe of the game is just amazing, and the world feels desperate, but also hopeful.
Keep the anchor, princess. Stay alive, and let's find something you can hit.
Now, for the biggest difference. Well, you're no longer fighting with Sands of Time. In fact, Sands of Time has no presence here. Yeah, you don't reverse or slow down anything. You also don't get any sand powers for combat. All your magic is relegated to your permanent companion and only to parkour. We also go from mystical powers of Sands of Time and demons to gods of corruption and weird new lands. The whole story revolves around you helping this random princess from escaping her chasers and then trying to stop this god of corruption. How do you do that? You go to different maps, fight a boss, heal the grounds, and then collect soul points or whatever the hell these things are. You spend what you've collected to gain new powers, in turn unlocking new maps and ultimately killing those 4 main bosses. Thus, being able to confront the evil god. And, well, this happens. Yeah, I do think that the last boss is really interestingly done. The perspective shift and the scale, everything kind of works. While there is a lot of story and world building, I have to admit that at some point it can feel like you're just running the same areas fighting an enemy here and there. But man, I don't know if I find the ending to be badass, as the prince basically dooms the whole world to darkness to resurrect the princess. You know, becoming extremely selfish at the very end? Or do I feel like this whole journey became disappointing for this reason? Is it a dark twist? Sure, absolutely. But at the same point, we didn't have any other goal in this game just to stop the darkness. And even if Elika is a great character, negating the main goal to save her is kinda lame. Now there is DLC that expands on the story. Elika is basically angry at you. Well, after all that we did, we unleashed the darkness again. But even then, it ends on basically the same cliffhanger, maybe even on a more somber note, as the prince is left alone to fend off for himself, and Elika goes in search for her people, I think? I don't know, this true ending feels even more meh. Like, we doomed the world to save Elika, sure, okay, a good twist. But now the prince is left alone, the world is ending and Elika is God knows where. Not really, wow, that was so satisfying to finish this game type of ending, you know? And I cannot understand why they didn't go for the simpler solution to this. Just like the prince stumbled upon this world-ending conflict, he should have left, honoring Elika's wish and wandering off into the unknown. It could still have the same somber tone, make the prince find the person he's been searching for, just to then be forced to abandon them, even if having a chance to save them, honoring what they went through and her wish more than what he wants. Or you could have created a satisfying ending in the DLC, still leaving room for a sequel. Hell, you can even leave the main evil ruling the world, but at least make our protagonists try to fight that together. It's not like I don't like dark, sad, or downer endings. I just feel like it kind of misses the mark, the tone, and the whole message that the rest of the game had. Oh, also, you want to know the weirdest thing? You can't buy the ending on PC. Yeah, Ubisoft just removed it. So if you want to get the game from Steam, you can get the true freaking ending. Cool choice, Ubisoft. Cool choice. What I really appreciate is that extra world building is locked under your control. If you want, in most places, you can stop and have a chat with the princess. Sometimes talking about the main enemy you're fighting or the location you're in.
Will that corrupted thing come back here?
We're safe. Ahriman can't cast his shadow here now the land is healed.
And sometimes just talking nonsense.
Want to play a game? Come on, it'll be fun.
The world's about to end and you want to play a game?
Might as well die happy.
What sort of game is this?
Well, I see something, and you have to guess what it is.
How can I guess that?
You just guess.
Brass.
No.
Rock.
You?
This is a stupid game.
But all that adds to the charm of these two. And again, you have to press a button, so it doesn't waste time for people who just want to play the game. It also means that you're not forced to sit through the same plot points when you're playing the second time. Look, I'm not gay, but I would so fuck with this prince.
Your turn. Tell me something about you.
Tell you what.
Oh, I don't know. How about, who was your last boyfriend?
Never had one.
Never?
Never.
Ah, come on.
There's no god or stars controlling me, princess. I go where I want.
Okay, in all seriousness, as a new version of the prince, for me it's basically perfect. He's an asshole, cocky, charming, and ultimately a guy that you kind of want to learn more about.
We can't absolve our...
Oh, don't give me things someone else has taught you to say. Is there anything you've learned for yourself?
He's never too arrogant or trying to be too funny or whatever. He just rides the middle point to create this lovable fuckboy. I also really like the new prince design. He can feel a bit overdressed, but when you remember that you're in the freaking desert, then his attire makes sense. But even more than that, I love how the prince moves and handles himself. How he attacks. It kind of feels like the first game, when they tried to make this super fluid and realistic movement system. I love how he always has his hand on the sword. I mean, I just love the whole package.
Well, I think I'd rather face the alchemist again than have to talk about poetry.
Also, this time, he's voiced by Nolan North, and while I love the original Prince's voice actor, Nolan does a really good job here. A big part of the game's charm is, of course, the princess. She complements the prince so much, and unlike with Farah, when the romance felt too fast and too forced in my humble opinion, these two have some great chemistry.
Hey!
Enjoying yourself?
And at a certain point of the game, you just go, oh, just fuck already.
Take my hand. Hey, take all of me.
She has the right amount of sassiness and genuine care for the prince.
I don't know.
Right. And you being able to do magic isn't anything to do with why they're trying to kill us.
They're not trying to kill us. They're trying to kill you.
Okay, fine. Keep your secrets. But at least tell me how to escape.
No, I can't leave. I've got to get to the temple.
Unlike
I
Farah,
can't let
where it's
Barnabas
more or
stop.
less enemies to lovers super fast, here, Elika actually has a reason to fall in love with the prince. Not only did he save her, but he's helping her stop the end of the fucking world. Without really asking for anything in return, just being, well, I guess I have time to stop this evil god. Lady, lead the way. So yeah, we went from the prince trying to solve his own mess, changing his fate, to now a more altruistic prince who just wants to help. But he still feels like the same prince. Same cocky asshole, just different vibe. Would it make a perfect start for a new Prince trilogy? Growing just like he did in Warrior Within and Two Thrones? Oh yes. I think there is enough character development to really have something. But sadly, the whole product wasn't appealing enough, and this prince was forgotten in the sands of time. Overall, I really like the story. It's weird but has juicy world building. The characters are lovable and each place you visit feels different, both in looks and in its story. I absolutely understand why for some, it might feel a bit too far-fetched or too all over the place, going from relatively simple, corrupted sand principle to multiple gods and weird creatures. Also, I do get that the end can feel a bit underclimactic, but it's a different prince. He's just a wanderer who stumbled upon things in the right time and in the right place. A prince without a kingdom, but a prince no less.
Trap?
Yes, he's a hunter.
So, the combat is super weird. It feels like a mix between the first game and sort of Sands of Time. Okay, to start, all of your moves are basically the same as in Warrior Within or Sands of Time. Block, dodge, jump over an enemy and attack, etc, etc. But the enemies are sort of reimaginings of enemies from previous games, and you're forced to always do one-on-one. Well, okay, you're fighting with a companion, but you get my point. It's also not really an aggressive system, like in Warrior Within. It's more defensive, like a dance, making sure you not only do not miss your attacks, but be able to block or counter in time, to have this back and forth, especially with bosses. And when you add certain forms that are only breakable with certain attacks, yeah, it's not really a fluid and aggressive system of combat, but more reactionary puzzle type of deal. And the weirdest thing is that I don't like it, but also I sort of vibe with it. Again, you need to treat it as a puzzle, and when things click, you're able to counter most attacks while mixing with Elika's and knowing exactly what attack to break enemy stance, basically dominating the fight. That feels freaking awesome. There's also a lot of variations in combat, like even your gauntlet throw can be combined with another throw, a sword attack, or Elika's magical powers. It's actually impressive how fluidly these moves combine with one another. On the other hand, you're facing the same random enemies over and over. The bosses at least have some characters to it, progression or anything. But these guys are just, well, they feel like a waste of time. And the thing is, I think the game knows it. Yeah, if you don't want to fight them, you can just rush towards and basically cancel the fight. Or better yet, the game seems to be purposely designed so that you can kill simple enemies basically instantly if you get them to the ledge. Kind of weird mix of design ideas. Talking about those bosses, I like them. All of them have different vibes and story, as well as requiring you to approach them in different ways. You also get to fight them 5 times, so before the final fight, you really get to know how they work. So it feels like an accomplishment when you finally put a stop to their nonsense.
Don't quit now!
I have no choice. I have no choice.
I think my main problem is that apart from bosses, everything else with enemies just feels meh. Why? Because they're just the same as the boss. That's it. Like, mechanically, they're no different. And that one-on-one fight with random creatures doesn't feel that impactful. I think you can just have multiple enemies to fight to vary the combat. And then maybe even Elika could attack on her own to really feel like a companion and not just one of your attacks in your arsenal. There's also no skills for the prince to upgrade apart from parkour, and the thing is, those parkour skills could have been somehow implemented into combat. Like, remember Forgotten Sands and its weird elemental based attacks? I feel like here, these types of powers would fit way more nicely, and it would get and it would have given the combat somewhat of a progression. You could even block those powers for boss fights if you want to keep this same like one-on-one system, but at least add some variety. So overall, I like the combat here, though I feel that it both overstays its welcome and isn't developed to its full potential. Even at the end, you feel like you're just doing a minigame rather than playing combat as the main part of the game. Again, interesting and flashy, but could have been way better. Another strong part of this game is the visuals. I think this might be the best looking Prince of Persia game. First of all, I love the new prince design and how he moves, as well as how Elika interacts with you and the environment when you move. Also, man, look at these environments. Just freaking amazing. Like, for me, these look so good that I just want to spend a few seconds admiring it, getting myself drenched with the design and the vistas. Each map feels so different, yet fitting the overall vibe, and the contrast between the corrupted and cleaned versions of the map feel substantive enough to explore the map again. With a really great camera and smooth parkour, it's simply fun to explore this world. Now, I do feel like this whole desert area could have been removed and just had the temple directly connected to these entrances. Yes, it does give you a sense of scale, and yes, you can just teleport back there without needing to run. But if you believe that your players will just teleport to a location, maybe you could have optimized it and portrayed the same scale without adding this huge ass empty space. But apart from that, I really don't have any complaints about the visual presentation. Well, okay, the standard enemy designs could have been more varied, coming up with some more crazy ideas. It wouldn't have taken them that long to come up with something better than a human form made of darkness. I also like that each boss's areas have different vibes to them, but they do match the one central theme of the boss itself. On top of that, a lot of the charm is not only how far you can see in the distance, but also that there are a lot of moving parts everywhere. It adds this motion to the world, like everything is moving no matter what you do. Oh well, okay, when the darkness is dispelled, those distant vistas do look like badly cut out PNGs, but hey, it is what it is. I like how this game looks, and I might even go as far as giving it the first place amongst all the Princess Adventures I've played so far.
Can you really keep your mouth shut? Let's get down from here.
Do you want to add another plus to the game? The parkour is somewhat streamlined, but also delivers a smoother and way more fun way to move around. The prince actually feels weighty. How he moves, how he runs, there's a oomph behind him. The movement animations, especially with Elika, are great and creates these small character moments.
Don't hold so hard.
Now, they sometimes take a bit too long to complete in the game. That's 95% platforming. Yeah, a bit too long. But I think that the game doesn't truly suffer from that. Another good idea is the hooks, allowing you to basically close corners, giving sort of a new direction and freedom on walls. On top of that, you get your gauntlet that allows you to slide off walls. Now it once again adds another move and direction to your arsenal, but also it allows you to easily get down in a lot of places. With open world design, it's good to have a way to go, oh shit, I don't need to go this direction, better get back, and have an easy way to do so. The traversal magic skills are a mixed bag. Two of them are kind of the same, just run up, press a button, then watch animation. That's a bit disappointing, especially when the next two adds a bit of variety by giving you Superman 64 type flying sections and true wall running moments. But if I was really fair, the implementation of all of these powers is kind of meh. Like, they never get too complex or a big part of the game or narrative. Oh sure, I failed a few times, but it's more of a camera and my movement issue than a challenging part. Okay, another thing, I don't really like that they replaced most of the traps with black blobs. Like, I get it, you want to have traps in the corrupted version, then to switch with a clean map. But you could also just deactivate the traps. I guess it makes the world less aggressive. It's not like somebody built 200 traps on this wall, I guess somehow expecting somebody to defy gravity. But it's just a corruption that can be cleansed, so I get it. Still, more variety in traps would help out. There's also a double jump with Elika giving you a boost. It's more of a side move, to be fair, not being used that much in the overall platforming. Like, I was expecting it to be a bigger part of the challenge. But again, all of these moves give you way more freedom to explore the map the way you want. So yeah, I really like the parkour here. It feels weighty, it's fast, it's flashy, and I just had fun traversing these beautifully designed maps. Now to talk about a few other things I clumped into one section. This game is basically open world, meaning you can choose to go through the game in any order you want. And since you're able to choose what traversal skills to unlock, and you get clear explanation what parts of the map those powers will open, you can choose whether you want to kill the hunter first or leave him for the end. However, while this control of the progress is good, I do think that you sort of lack any princess upgrades. Like in all games, you would have some sort of thing to increase. Sure, here you have orbs to collect and Elika's power to unlock, but the prince doesn't gain anything, if that makes sense. He can't gain any more health, you don't find any better weapons, or learn some honestly interesting skills. Apart from the flashy parkour parts, from time to time, you basically end the game the same prince as you started. And I think that adds to why this game wasn't that well received or beloved as the others. It gave too much to the companion. So alright, let's talk about it. Let's talk about the death system. Or in fact, the lack of it. Now, I've seen some notion on the webs that it ruins the game and basically makes it challengeless. While I can see this point in certain parts of the game, I can't agree. In fact, I think that as an idea, it's nearly perfect, but might not have been implemented the best way. Okay, so think about this. First, there is no death screen or loading a checkpoint. So, okay, that just expands how much I can play and not watch, death animation and a load screen. Okay, what about the challenge from parkour? Well, it's not really gone. You still need to reach a sturdy ground for Elika to throw you back there. If you fail in the middle of the sequence, then you need to try again and again. Think about the challenge in other Prince of Persia games. Was the whole part of the level challenging? Or did it have some challenging parts, while others were just going through the same parkour or same A to B path that is not really, challenging? So, alright, it removes that need to redo easy sections. You've already beaten them, you've proven yourself, so don't waste time there, right? But it also makes experimentation and exploration way smoother since you're not really punished for missing a jump or not having any time powers to use. I think that if the game would have introduced these longer, more challenging sections quicker, most players would sort of get the need for this infinite life system. Now, combat is where I'm a bit mixed. You never die during combat. And also the enemy just gets back some of its health. And even then, you slowly chip away at their health each time till a certain point. Does it remove the whole backtracking and allows you to focus on mastering controls and combat? Yes. However, I think the biggest problem is that you always fight one enemy. Not dying and just instantly starting a boss fight makes sense. But then have an arena that has like 10, 20 enemies that all restore once you die. This way, you are still keeping the same system, but you would leave the challenge of, oh, I died and need to redo this entire fight, but without the loading and dying part. I don't know. It might be required. This system, I mean, since the enemies do have some annoying attacks. And if you would die to them, that might feel very, annoying. But also, that's game balancing, so I don't know. The system is really interesting, and I like it. But it just could have been implemented in a better way or support a more in-depth combat system. the thing with collecting stuff in video games is that it is fun, but you have to have restraints. It's cool collecting lots of stuff, but I do feel like the amount of light balls you need to collect is a bit too much. Like, you need to basically run through entire map again to collect all 45 balls. Now, what would have worked in my opinion is limiting this number to like 10 balls a level, but having them be in actually difficult to reach places. I mean, you don't need to hide all of them, but now they sometimes feel like they're just dropped in the map in a random place. A few times just to find all of these. But hey, they wanted to have the 1001 Nights reference. So I guess the number has to be this way. And the music in this game is great. It's big, bombastic. But also fits the tone of the game while never overpowering the action or the story. What I also really like is just the ambient sound of each place, with corrupted maps feeling empty and cold.
There you go.
While the healed parts are full of life and warmth. Overall, the soundscape, as well as voice acting, is top-notch.
We'd better get out of here.
Alright, so yeah, that was Prince of Persia 2008. A game that did so much right. I think it came out at the wrong time and took a bit too many risks, especially coming after the most beloved Prince trilogy. It is still a Prince of Persia game. It still has the DNA. Hell, in some places, it even has more Prince of Persia 1 DNA, but all of those small things, I guess, adds up to not very interesting experience for the mass audience. Not a lot of people are talking about this game, and I can see why. But it's also kinda sad. As I said before, I have my issues. The death system could have been implemented more interestingly. The combat, no matter how flashy, just kinda feels off. But man, the characters, the story, the vibe of the world, it's just... I personally had so much fun. Now, putting this game into my ranking is actually really difficult because it has no deaths, and deaths are kind of like a big part, a big staple of Prince of Persia games, especially the classical trilogy. I would probably say that it's actually basically on the same level as Warrior Within, maybe a bit lower. It's a different experience, very different experience from Warrior Within, but all small things add up to lead to a kind of forgettable experience. But I feel like both of these games have stuck with me the most in this, like project or challenge or whatever. So yeah, alright, anyway, that will be enough for today. Thanks for watching this stupid video, and I will see you later on.